Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is, of course, HD StarCraft, and I'm here to bring you guys another Heart of the Storm broadcast. Now, in the bottom left-hand corner of today's matchup, we're going to be looking at the red Zerg player, and his name is YOLO. And don't really need to go into detail about what that means. And over on the right-hand side of the map, we have the blue Terran player. His name is Shimoon of Team cWc.Shimoon. So, been casting a lot of games with Shimoon so far, but he hasn't disappointed. Some very cool plays out of him late. Haven't seen any of his games. Go check it out. Go check it out. It's pretty great. And so far, all the Heart of the Storm games I've been casting have all been pretty interesting, showcasing some new strategies and obviously build orders and units available here in Heart of the Storm. But I'm interested to see how this is going to go down. It's going to be a Terran versus Zerg, and this is actually my first time casting a Zerg replay from the newest patch of Heart of the Storm, patch 12. And if you guys recall, one of the newest upgrades available now for YOLO, for the Zerg player here, is ability to get Burrow at Hatchery Tech. You don't actually need to get it anymore at Layers. So that obviously allows Zerg players to experiment and do some pretty cool things. It can go and block a Protoss player's natural right away with a burrowed Zergling, for example, if you rush the burrow technology, or you can just get into some pretty crazy micro wars. I'm thinking off the top of my head here, Cats is going to be one of the players that we'll be seeing a lot of burrow micro plays out of, because he loves burrow. He loves to get it in the early game. The earlier the better, and now that it's available at Hatchery, it's so convenient to just get that and start to be very aggressive with Zerglings. If you can get Zerglings into your opponent's base and start burrowing them down all over the place, using burrow to regenerate their HP when they're underground, I mean, it's pretty crazy if you've got good micros. So just off the top of my head, it'd be cool to see, but we'll have to see if he decides to go for that. I don't think so. Of course, it requires some gas, so you do have to forfeit quick Zergling speed to get the burrow technology out there, and you do have to obviously mine some gas. Right now it does look like YOLO is going for a hatchery at the natural, and he is going to have a couple of overlords placed, one at the 12, one at the 6. I can't believe I'm going to be casting this entire game saying YOLO, by the way, guys. This is kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is, man. I actually had to cast a game with a guy's name, and his name was I Lick Panties, and I had to say I Lick Panties literally like 60 times. If you guys haven't seen that game yet, go check that one out too. Oh man, lol. But by the way, guys, if you guys know anybody playing Heart of the Storm at a pretty high level, feel free to have them send their replays into me at HDreplays@gmail.com. That includes streamers or friends of yours that are playing at, you know, masters to high masters, and I'll go ahead and take a look at those and see if I can cast them. Anyways, we do have this Overlord from YOLO going around the back of the natural here as that command center is about to finish up. He's got 2 refineries inside the main base, and it does look like he has a bunker at the top of the ramp as well. Over on the Zerg player's side, that SCV finally got inside the main, and we do have some gas actually mining from the hatchery, for the hatchery, and we'll see if YOLO actually is going to go for burrow. I don't think so. It looks like he's going to go for Zergling speed first, which, oh, he canceled it. He canceled metabolic boost, and he is going to get burrow. What the heck? Now, of course, you can't really see the spawning pool researching the upgrade. You can. It's super hard to see it, though. I feel like it's one of the hardest upgrades to actually see when it's actually morphing, but it's impossible to see the hatchery researching something in the first place. So I don't know why YOLO would. I mean, I guess, you know, it would be pretty peculiar for a Zerg player to be mining gas and not get Zergling speed. If you saw a Zerg player mining gas and he wasn't getting Zergling speed, then immediately now in Heart of the Storm you can say, all right, he's mining gas so he can get burrow. But I guess that's why YOLO started it and then canceled it. Very, very interesting. Now this is going to make for a pretty interesting couple of moments, because we do have a Roach Warren coming from YOLO, and obviously he's getting this so he can start burrowing some roaches against Shimoon, and this is going to come very quickly. Now, roaches, they regenerate a lot of HP much faster when they're burrowed underground. They're a very sturdy and hard unit at the beginning of the game of StarCraft 2, so this could be a pretty powerful attack. Now, you'll note he's saved up a lot of larvae here. He's making 8 roaches. This is a timing-based attack with roaches and burrow, and he's got 8 of them on the way right now, and I don't think Shimoon has any idea this is coming, but he is going for a starport. Now, the starport can be pretty helpful. Thankfully, if he could get a Tech Lab out here, he can get a Banshee on. Banshee can shut down the roaches, but he needs detection as well. He needs some way to detect the burrowed roaches as they're coming through, and I almost feel like he needs to get a missile turret now or save up a lot of energy on the orbital commands, or he is going to be absolutely screwed. I don't know how he's going to hold this off. On top of that, he's got this super supply depot. I call him the super supply depots right here. If that depot goes down, he's pretty much game. You can't make it any units if you're stuck down by over 18 supply. It's just impossible. But here we go, or 16 supply, excuse me. But here we go, YOLO coming in with the roaches. He's researching lair back at home as well, so he's gonna have tier 2 coming pretty soon. The medevac is gonna fly across. He's gonna see the roaches, and immediately he's gonna pull the Hellions back and help defend. No, he's just gonna fly him out. He says, all right, screw it, I'm gonna try to attack while you're attacking me. He's gonna try to repair this bunker, but the roaches just run right behind him. One roach is actually burrowed in front of the bunker, and really that's all YOLO has to do. As soon as the roaches start to take too much damage, burrow them underground. They regenerate more HP when they're burrowed. As you guys can see here, rapid regeneration, one of the abilities that has been intrinsic to a roach ever since StarCraft 2. And it looks like this orbital command is now on fire, has to lift off. Now the roaches are going to go for the SCVs. Meanwhile, the medevac is boosting in to the main and is going to drop off some Hellbats. Oh, they're Hellbats, not Hellions. They're actually a lot stronger than Hellions, so the drones can't even hope to fight this. They've got to run. Oh my god, a bunch of drones going down here. Absolutely critical burns from the Hellbats. Shimoon has just ripped through the drone line. Of course, the medevac heals the Hellbats as well. These Hellbats can actually even fight off Queens if they want to. One Hellbat can micro back into the medevac and just drop right back out as the Queens were about to kill it off. Meanwhile, the roaches were able to blow through the bunker, and it looks like they're going to get the rest of the Marines down, and a lot of SCVs going down as well. Now, Widow Mines are planted at the ramp, so those roaches will not be able to run past those Widow Mines unless they want to take some serious damage, and meanwhile, the medevac has pulled the Hellbats out. They're going to now heal, regenerate HP, and go in for a second wave, I'd imagine, as soon as they get enough HP back from that medevac. Meanwhile, the orbital command floating back. It is on fire. 3 Widow Mines at the front door. We have a burrow war here. It's the war of the burrowing units, and now it looks like the roaches say, all right, screw it, your Widow Mines are on cooldown. I'm just gonna run right up the ramp and take out this super supply depot. If that depot goes down, then Shimoon's gonna be in so much trouble. He's got SCVs around to repair it. YOLO should be focusing to get the SCVs down, but he knows the Widow Mines are about to come off cooldown, so he pulls out just in the nick of time. Very good timing right there, and he doesn't take additional damage. Meanwhile, the Hellbats coming back in to burn the hatchery. 13 SCVs have gone down compared to 18 drones. These Hellbats actually got a ton of kills. Look at this Hellbat's a sergeant. This one's a corporal. We have just complete balls out aggression across the map right now, and another Hellbat drop coming into the 3rd expansion. And you know, they do a lot of damage. Essentially, when a Hellion becomes a Hellbat, it's almost like it gets the blue flame upgrade automatically because it does so much more damage to all types of units. You can see here 19 versus normal units, but 32 versus light. It basically doesn't need a blue flame upgrade because as soon as it becomes a Hellbat, it is a blue flame Hellion now. It just loses a lot of its radius fire, but it gains a ton of HP, and it can even fight off. It can burn roaches down, man. That's how strong it is. And Shimoon now is gonna pull out after doing some significant damage, but he comes back in with another boosted medevac. Meanwhile, these roaches are still in the natural of the Terran player, ripping through SCVs, but not nearly as many as these Hellbats are ripping through drones. Look at how many drones have gone down. But overall, if you look at the worker count right now, the Zerg player still has a lot of workers, 50 to 22, or 28, excuse me. So that just shows, it's kind of a testament to how quickly Zerg are able to reproduce their drones, even when they take a bunch of drone losses. It's not a big problem. I mean, it is a big problem, but they can still recover a lot faster than a Terran player can. That's for damn sure. Here comes these Widow Mines. They're going to come back. He's got to pull the SCVs out of the way lest he wants to lose them to splash damage. He realizes it. So now he's going to drop Comsat and finish off that roach. There we go. Takes it down. And the roach threat has been neutralized. That was kind of interesting. Did that roach, the first Sentinel missile didn't do that much damage to the roach, but then the second one did when it was unburrowed, which was kind of interesting. Maybe the way the Sentinel missile works is it doesn't do full damage to burrowed units. That was kind of interesting. but that Roach took a lot less damage until it finally popped up, then it died. But anyways, that was incredible. This is some incredible couple of seconds right here, a couple of minutes in this game, and now we have Swarm Host on the way from YOLO. He's also going to have a Hydralisk Den coming out as well to back up his Swarm Host with some Hydralisks, obviously. And the Hydralisks, they do get Hydra speed available now at Layer Tech, so you can have some pretty quick Hydras on the map right away. It's going to be interesting to watch the Widow Mines versus the Swarm Host, because the Locust is a constant spawning unit that comes out, but the Widow Mine is also a constantly spawning Sentinel Missile, and you do see some stalemate sometimes between those two types of army compositions, and usually the Breaker is obviously the units you have to back up your tanks or your Swarm Host. What will it be? Hydras, tanks, and whatnot, but we do have Hellions transforming into Hellbat mode as Shimoon loads them up, thinking about going in for another drop of Hellbats here, and I think he's dropping a Comsat first. So he's Comsatting the main to see what's going on back there. You'll note the upgrades right now are favoring the Terran player far more heavily than the Zerg. Zerg doesn't have a single upgrade yet, and here comes Shimoon, going to drop the Hellbats into the third, excuse me, and he's going to try to go for more drone kills. And those Hellbats probably going to have to get out of there because that medevac is taking a lot of damage, but it uses Ignite Afterburners to get out of there before it went down. And on the way out, it's going to see a hatchery at the gold as well from YOLO. So that just goes to show how nasty those medevacs can be with their new ability, able to just boost out of harm's way whenever things start to get a little hairy. But that was a nice retreat, because he also saw the gold hatch. And from there, you can kind of gauge, all right, it's time to get my third command center, because I don't want to fall behind in economy. Right now, it is 97 supply to 132. You'll note the Evolve Enduring Locust is on the way for the Swarm Host, which allows the Swarm Hosts and their Locusts to last about 33% longer. So it makes them a lot more effective and effectively increases the range of the Swarm Host, because it increases the distance the Locusts can traverse before they expire. So all of this is very important information, and YOLO now coming into the middle of the map, gonna take out the Banshee with his two Hydras. Loses one before he kills it, but that's all right. And now, is he planning to make his attack? Now, of course, remember, the interesting mechanic we're going to be watching here is the Widow Mines versus the Locusts, and both of them constantly spawning units, the Sentinel Missiles and the Locusts, obviously. So it should be very interesting to see who's going to have more forces and who's going to have enough to break through. Obviously, the Siege Tanks are going to help a lot here, and YOLO, well, those Roaches and Hydras, they don't live more, they do only live once. You got to be careful there as he runs them up. And here we go. He's gonna drop some Changelings in as well. Really gonna try to clear out the Sentinel, the Widow Mines, but he just doesn't have enough. Not in this type of position with the Siege Tanks overhead as well. Very difficult to break through. YOLO comes in with an Overseer to find out what's going on inside the main base, but nothing peculiar. No, no fusion core or tech into star technology yet, sky technology yet, but these Locusts are continuing to rush through. Excuse me, I'm not sure actually if the Sentinel Missiles do proc against the Locusts. I think there was a change lately that might have affected the way they work, so keep an eye on this fight here, and we'll see if these Sentinel Missiles actually do process on the Locusts. They do, okay. They do. They just take a little bit of time right there. But yeah, that's going to be the eternal fight here we're going to be watching to see who is going to win. And YOLO is just going to continue to spawn his units and send them. He's got the rally point set for those Swarm Hosts all into the heart of the Terran army. But Shimoon has a lot of splash fire here, man. He's got a ton of tanks. He's got a lot of Widow Mines. So he's not in any particular danger yet, and he's actually going to try to leak these Blue Flame Hellions out. Is he going to get them through? He is. He's going to get the Blue Flame Hellions out across the map. That's got to be annoying for YOLO, because now he's got to think about pulling his Roaches and Hydras back home to defend against a possible attack from those Hellions. Meanwhile, the Overseer is pushed away by the Viking inside the main base, and that should that is going to finish off that Overseer. So these Hellions now were able to escape. Now, what is Shimoon gonna do with these two Hellions, or the squad of Hellions? He's actually gotten another squad out across the other side, and these Hellions could be the way for Shimoon to break this contain, essentially by ripping through the Zerg economy back at home. but will he be able to do it? He's even dropped some Hellbats back into the third hatchery. Wow, that's a lot of Hellions and Hellbats, and these drones are absolutely screwed. Roaches and Hydras now, are they going to pull back home, or is YOLO just going to go for it? There really isn't that much of a Terran army back at home, so he could theoretically bust through. Shimoon actually uses the boosters and gets out once again with a squad of Hellions. Gonna get over to the natural now. Meanwhile, the Roaches and Hydras and Locusts, or just the Locusts I should say, are gonna burst through this rock formation, and they're gonna go right for that orbital command as the Hellions, oh man, more drones going down. 85 workers have lost their lives due to the hands of these Blue Flame Hellions already, and these SCVs are quick to repair the orbital command, and tanks are also setting themselves up as well, so it's unlikely the Locusts are going to be able to bust through, but over time they will. You can see that tank was taking a little bit of damage there, and as the waves of Zerg continue to spawn upon this tank army, eventually this army is going to go down. It's inevitable. You'll see here as this tank it will take some damage there, just a little bit, not enough to actually finish it off. And what Shimoon should do here is bring some SCVs and leave them on auto repair, just to make sure his tank army doesn't wither away due to the constant Zerg forces. Now you'll note, even though YOLO lost a lot of economy, he's still got 55, so he's not out of this game by any means. And he's actually, oh my god, he's gonna pick a bunch of Widow Mines off that were just going the wrong way. Took the wrong turn out there, but Shimoon has a very large number of tanks here, 17 siege tanks in fact, and he's gonna need every last one to hold off this assault from YOLO. He's coming in on the high ground as well. He's gonna try to take the cliff's edge to take out these tanks, but there's so many siege tanks there as the Locusts also come in as well. And look at how many Roaches and Hydras died at the edge of that cliff. Now going up over to the expansion, but they are just gonna get cornered in, and eventually they decide to burrow in order to hide, but there's no hiding for this Terran army. Shimoon rips through everything, and here comes the Locusts. Gonna try to clean up some of the tanks, but there are too many siege tanks alive, 14 of them in fact, and the Locusts, I mean, they are coming one at a time, but the problem is the Zerg player just lost his entire Roaches and Hydra army. Not good for him. And he really didn't get much accomplished with that. He did kill off some tanks here or there, but at the end of the day, really, he kind of threw them all away, I feel like, for nothing. And back at home, he's trying to make more Hydras right now. He's complementing his army. You'll note his bank is a lot larger than Shimoon's is, so by no means, like I said before, is he out of this game. He's got a lot more expansions, and he's got, you know, a lot more of a bank to play around with, and that's going to help quite a bit. But he needs to take out this tank army. He needs to slowly bring it down to a manageable number, because right now there are 13 siege tanks, and that is just going to be too much for the Roaches and Hydras to blow through. That is where the Swarm Hosts and their Locusts are going to come in quite handy. The Zerg player needs to attack with everything at once. Shimoon also needs to think right here about being very careful, because he needs to push out and claim the middle expansion, the gold right now. The problem is he can't push out because of the contain outside of his front door. He really can't do anything. He's on the back foot. He's got all of his tanks set up back at home, but he can't push out even an inch because these Locusts are just continually spawning, and it's just proving to be a very difficult task here for Shimoon to break through. And the longer this goes on, I feel like the further ahead YOLO's gonna get. He's gonna essentially starve out the Terran player, and while he's starving out and containing Shimoon, he's also doing a little bit of damage here and there. He's picking off a siege tank here or there, and he's just keeping Shimoon on the back foot. Just a great game right here from YOLO. Right now, our blue Terran player needs to expand. He needs to grab another one. He's sending out a command center on a lonely mission here, a secret mission, but there are 4 Roaches on the way. It's almost as if YOLO knows this is coming. Meanwhile, a couple of Banshees actually going to try to take out a hatchery in the bottom right-hand corner, so it is going to be somewhat eye for an eye. This command center is going to be forced to lift off. This hatchery is going to go down to these 2 Banshees, and some Hellions once again leaking on by the contain, and they, oh wow, they just run right into the Hydra army. Ouch. And every single one is going to go down. We do have an Ultralisk Cavern on the way right now from YOLO. He's going to go for the tier 3 unit, the Ultralisk, to try to break through the siege tanks, all the while containing the Terran player down onto only 3 bases, and just doing an incredible job at that. Shimoon right now has taken out that hatchery. Good for him, but the Zerg is still mining very happily out of this gold expansion, and that is not good, obviously, for for Shimoon. He just cannot afford the Zerg to be able to mine there and not go for a 4th expansion of his own. That's why he's actually now trying to throw away some of his SCVs. Supposedly just to clear up supply space right now because he has so many SCVs. Now he's going to try to clear it up so he can get more tanks, more units on the field. And here we go, is actually going to medevac boost some SCVs over to his new expansion. He's trying to fortify it, but unfortunately for him, it gets picked off. YOLO is all about it. He takes out the command center, he takes out all the tanks. And that medevac stopped dead in its tracks right there. Thankfully, it did not go over to that position. Otherwise, it would have too been the casualty of that battle. And Shimoon once again trying to go for an expansion. He gets shut down. Now he's got to think about pushing out. It's almost all or nothing now because he's run dry on resources. This is about as close to his max as he's ever going to get. And this is the window really to push before the Ultralists start to join this army. I think now's the time. And he knows it. And YOLO knows it. He's going to make his push right now. He's got to slowly leapfrog his tanks and get closer and closer towards those swarm hosts. But every time he pushes out, he's got to be careful too, because those locusts draw friendly fire from the siege tanks, which can hurt his Hellbats and his SCVs as well. So he's got to play it carefully. In fact, he's brought so many of his SCVs off the line because most of them aren't doing anything back at home. There's not much money left to be made. He's got expansions ready to go, but he just cannot secure a position. He's going to try to go into the middle of the map, and YOLO knows if he gives up the center here and he gives up this gold expansion, then Shimoon is right back in this game. By no means can YOLO allow the Terran to push into the middle of the map right now, but it looks like he has. He's given up control here. He's given up territory. He's going to try to surround now on all sides, so as the locusts are coming in from the swarm host, and he's going to try to push in with everything that he's got. But wow, those roaches and hydras are just succumbing to the splash damage of all of those siege tanks and the AoE firepower from the Hellbats. It's just too much for the roaches and hydras to handle. What YOLO needs right now is a bigger, more badass unit. He needs an Ultralist. He needs a herd of Ultras right now. He knows it. He's going for 7 Ultras. That's the only way he's going to break through this army. And he's got to keep these swarm hosts alive as well. Can't afford to let them go down. What he needs to do is attack all at once. When the locusts all come out, bring the ultras as well. It looks like the Terran player has not only secured himself a new expansion, but he's also going to take out the gold hatchery of YOLO as well. What an incredible turn of events. And look at the Banshees. They've spotted the swarm hosts. They found the threat. And they're going to be able to take these down. Incredible game by Shimoon, and he just needs to drop another comsat, and those swarm hosts are done for. But it looks like some hydras are going to come in. All those Banshees, 1 is going to go down, 2 is going to go down, 3 is going to go down, and a 4th one as well. Great play by YOLO, who realized that keeping his swarm hosts alive right now was of utmost importance, as he needs to time and synchronize his attack here with his Ultralisks if he's to take out this Terran army. In fact, now's the time, as the tanks aren't even sieged up at this moment, but will he go for it? He needs to go now. He needs to go now. The Ultras are ready to go, and he doesn't send them all in at once. Now finally realizes that this is the time, but the hydras are a little late to the party, and this is not what you wanted to do. Shimoon should have enough tanks to survive here. You'll see the hydras are just getting blown to bits, and the Vikings are even landing to provide support firepower, and the locusts were just way too late to the party. I mean, you can't blame them. It's very hard to synchronize everything at once. You need to be a maestro of the Zerg. You need to be savior almost in order to be able to synchronize all those things going in at once. It's pretty hard to pull off, and you can see right there just a bad mistake by YOLO. If he had timed everything at once and sent it in, he probably would have crushed this army. But as it stands, Shimoon stands tall at the peak of Mount Antigua Shipyard, and now Shimoon is going to take out another hatchery. What an incredible push from him. You know, when everything looked like he was going to go down, he was completely contained inside of 3 bases. He pushes out and he reclaims a new expansion, as well as takes out several Zerg hatcheries. And now, will he be able to finish the game? Because there are some Zerglings running around the back. They don't have Zergling speed though, which obviously means they're very slow, and they die very easily as well. So they're not really a threat, and that's one thing YOLO probably is hitting himself in the face right now, canceling Zergling speed at the beginning of this game, going for Burrow, and then forgetting to get Zergling speed later on, because really Zerglings without speed are just they're slow as molasses. They're not useful at all. This hatchery is gonna go down. This command center doesn't care about the Rochi. Actually, the Zerg is coming in here from all sides with the final last wave of Ultras and Zerglings. but will it be enough to clean out the Vikings and tanks? It looks like he might just have enough, but there are Banshees overhead as well, and unfortunately not enough Hydra backup to shoot down those Banshees, and YOLO calls GG. Shimoon is victorious, so pretty good game right there in a 33-minute Zerg versus Terran. And we saw that early burrow tech coming to play at the beginning of the game, and really, I've been waiting to see a Zerg player actually start to use that early burrow, because it seems like it's such a good ability, but not a lot of Zerg players are really kind of experimenting around with it in Heart of the Swarm. But YOLO did, and he made great use of it, man. That was an incredible game, and this last battle wasn't too bad from him. He did synchronize everything. He went in with everything all at once, and if he had done this in the first fight, he might have had a chance. He might have been able to win this game. But unfortunately, you know, he got his act together a little too late towards the second battle, and by then there were just too many Banshees for him to clean up. And unfortunately for him, that was GG. So, hope you guys enjoyed the cast. If you did, check me out. I'm at YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at HDStarcraft. And if you guys know anybody playing Heart of the Storm at a high level and want to have their replays casted, feel free to have them send in their replays to HDreplays@gmail.com. For now, this is HDStarcraft, and I am signing out.